Hey friends, just wanted to do a short video for all of those who suffer from stiffness in the low back and hips. Maybe you have some sciatica, you've got some just yuckiness. You wake up in the morning and feel really tight in your hips and your low back. Just a few things that you can do in the morning that won't take too much time for you to feel better throughout your day, and just kind of get the juices flowing and just get some lubrication to the fascia and the connective tissues. So I highly recommend investing in a yoga block. So if you have one, go grab it. If not, if you have a big thick book or even like a yoga bolster and then a yoga strap. If you don't have a yoga strap, grab a belt. And we're just gonna be on the ground this whole time. It's just for a few minutes. So come on down onto your back. So this is what I would do when I come to my yoga mat in the morning. I have sciatica, I have sacroiliac, I think a sprain in the SI joint. So I've got lots of issues. So all this stuff is just out of my own experience. So I just come down onto my back with my feet on the floor and the knees bent. And I just take a moment to close my eyes, take a couple deep breaths, and bring myself into this space. Kind of notice how the body feels. And it's really easy to judge and criticize here, especially when you're having pain and you don't feel that great. But try to avoid doing that. Just notice and feel. We want to go from the gross, the outer body, into the more subtle body. So moving and tuning inward. And then I start with a little bit of just gentle flexion in the knee and the hip. So gently bringing in one leg and then the other, holding on wherever you can, knees or tops of your shins, and just feeling into those hip creases and into the low back here. Try to keep the back of the skull resting on the mat, so you're creating a long spine from the back of your neck all the way down to your sacrum, to the back of the pelvis. Pull in here, a couple breaths. And then you can start to make some movement. So I like to bring my knees and thighs together and place the hands on top of the knees and then massage the outer rim of the sacrum by circling around. I go about 5 times each direction. Switching directions here. Breathing a little more deeply, a little more slowly than I naturally breathe. And then coming back to center. Extending the left leg long. If that doesn't feel good though, you can always bend the knee and keep the foot on the ground. And then interlacing the fingers over the right shin. I'm gonna push into my hands. So I'm gonna push the leg away, like I'm trying to just push my foot forward here. And then release and hug the knee towards the armpit. Switch legs. Interlace the fingers over the shin and then push against your hands and then hug the knee in. So we're releasing. So we're creating muscle tension and then we're releasing that, and then switch. And I do this 3 times on each leg. This is also really helpful if you have your SI joints are out of whack a little bit. They might be out of alignment. You might even feel a little pop or adjustment in that area. And then switch. Remember to push first against the hands. So my leg is working right here, and then releasing and using my arms to draw the knee into the chest. And then switch. So about 3 times on each side. Push against the hands. And then draw the knee in. And each time you might find that you can go deeper, bringing the knee closer to the armpit. Switch. Last time. Push away, strong leg, and then soften, release. And then both legs down the mat. And just pause with your legs extended. Take a minute to just notice how you feel. And then we'll rebend the knees, bringing the feet close to the buttocks. Taking that block on the lowest setting. I always start with the lowest setting and then I can go up from there and placing it right underneath the sacrum. Sacrum is that flat bone, triangular shape at the back of your pelvis. So it's that area right above your butt crack. And when you place the block under there, take your hands to the pelvic points here, the ASIS bones, and then just make sure that they're even. Just notice. And it might not be even. So there might be something going on in your pelvis that's creating one to be higher than the other, or one to feel like it's more tilted down or up, more prominent or not. But we just want to notice, and what this is doing with the block underneath in this really low supported bridge is you're creating traction for your lumbar spine. So imagine you're starting to separate the vertebrae and creating space for the discs. Our lumbar spine gets the most compression. It takes the most weight of our whole spine. It's the center, our pelvis is the center of our body too. It's where most of our movement comes from. We move first from our pelvis. So I usually just spend as much time as I want here, as much time as you need. I'm not going to stay super long just because I'm doing this video, but you can stay for as long as you like. Breathing deeply. The next thing that I would do is if my back is feeling okay, I'm going to push into the feet, use my glutes to lift, and I'll take the block onto the next highest setting. So onto, think toaster oven setting. And then I would just hang out here a little bit too and create this nice traction for the spine. Just again, those nice, smooth, long, slower, deeper breaths. Softening the eyes, relaxing around your jawline. And then once you felt like you've had enough time there, press into the feet, engage your glutes, use them, lift yourself off the block, and just put it off to the side. And then very slowly lower, one vertebra at a time. But when you get down to the low back, place your sacrum down and let your lumbar spine be in its natural curve. So we're not pressing the low back into the ground. Let it be into its natural curve. Take a moment here. Let your spine rest on the floor. And then when you feel ready, gently hug the knees back into the chest. You might rock even a little bit side to side as you hug the legs in. And then bring the feet back to the ground. Grab your strap or your belt, and you're going to place it around the ball mound of your right foot. So right there underneath your toe crease. And then extend the leg nice and long. See if you can get your knees straight. Your leg may not be straight up and down. You might have to be a little bit at an angle because your hamstrings are really tight. So leg straight, knee straight. Left leg can stay bent or extend it long and keep that leg nice and active as well. You can take both hands and hold, but relax your arms here as much as possible. So you can take both hands and hold each edge. Try to push the heel of the foot away. Spread your toes a little bit here. So everything is active from your toes, your ankle, down into your leg. And I would just stay and hold this as long as you like. See if you can even get your leg more straight and more perpendicular, straight up and down here, more vertical. And then little tiny movements, so we're moving the femur bone in the hip joint here, maybe little circles around. Go 4 or 5 times one way and then the other. Keep your left leg active. And then find some stillness. take both straps in your right hand. Take your left hand on top of your left pelvic bone there. And then we're going to start to take this right leg off to the right, keeping it as straight as you can. So it doesn't have to go super close to the floor. We're opening up. We are working on opening up our adductor muscles. Push the heel of the foot away. Keep your left glute and your hip down on the mat. So we're not letting it lift up. So you have to use your abs a little bit here. You've got to use your core. Stay for a few breaths, and then you'll gently bring the foot back up, and we'll take both straps into the left hand. Bring your right thumb into your right hip crease. So we want to feel what's happening. Push into that hip crease. So wrap your fingers around your outer hip, and then just about 6 inches moving that foot across the midline of the body, about 6 inches, stretching the outer hip here. Keep pushing that thumb into the hip crease so you're holding your femur bone like you're wanting to push it away from you, keeping the pelvis neutral. So we're not letting the pelvis roll or tilt up with this. We want to push it down so it stays in alignment. And then a nice twist here. Release that right hand out long so it's in this half T shape. And you'll just continue now to lift your right hip and take that straight leg all the way over. And again, that foot doesn't have to touch the floor. It can just hover. Be really mindful. Pay attention to how your low back feels in this twist. We really want to feel the rotation from the rib cage up. So it's not so much of a lumbar spine twist. Our low back doesn't really twist. It flexes and extends. We want to move at the thoracic spine. So from the rib cage up here. And then, of course, you can turn your head to the right if you'd like and get that cervical rotation. We've got lots of rotation in our neck. Lots of movement in the neck. Not so much movement in the thoracic spine. You've got rotation, but the flexion and extension, or at least extension in the middle part of our back, is challenged. And then use your core. Come back up to center. Bend the knee. And then just replace your left foot in the strap. Bring your right foot down and just have the knee bent for a second. Maybe both hands on the strap, stretch and push that heel of the foot up. So we're nice and gently stretching our hamstrings. If our hamstrings are tight, you're going to feel that up into your back. Everything's connected. When you're ready, you can extend your right leg down long on the mat, flex the foot, push the heel of the foot away. Keeping the back of the skull on the mat so the back of your neck is nice and long. Spread the toes out maybe, push the ball of the foot up. Nice straight leg. Breathe into this. Just feel that sensation. We want sensation, but we don't want pain. So if it's something that you're breathing heavy, you're holding your breath, that's too much. That might be causing you pain. You want to have this nice steady breath. And like me, be able to talk while you're doing these. So again, you'd hold this for as long as you'd like. You maybe see if you could get your leg a little straighter and pull it up a little bit. Everyone's going to look different. And then we'll take the straps, or we'll do our little circles here. Moving in our joints, being mobile in our joints, helps create the synovial fluid. So if there's not a lot of fluid, you don't have that lubrication in your joints, you're going to feel a lot stiffer and maybe have some pain. So once you've done your circles, we'll take the strap into the both hands still, or right hand, and then take the left thumb into your left hip crease, wrap your fingers around. So you're kind of pushing on that thigh bone and then gently come across the midline of the body about 6 inches. And this you'll feel probably a stretch all the way down the outer edge of your leg, the outer lateral border of that left leg. And again, you can hold these longer if you'd like. And then we will go ahead and bring that leg back to center. Take the straps in your left hand. Take the right hand on top of your ASIS. So you're holding your hip down here and then gently extending that leg out long. So you're going to use that left elbow and upper arm on the ground to help support you. You're using it as like a little kickstand on the side that you're holding your strap. And then continue to keep the leg straight, push the heel away, stretching the inner thigh muscles, our adductor muscles. Some of these muscles attach around to the back of the pelvis and some attach around to our groin area, the front of our pelvis. Use your core to keep yourself center on your mat and to keep that right hip down, and that right leg is active. You're straightening and pushing that heel away. And then use your core and come back up to center. And then we'll take the straps in the right hand, left arm goes out, and let's come all the way across into that twist. I think I did those backwards, but that's okay. So come across this side of the body. This side might feel different. You may be able to rotate more. You may be able to rotate less. Soften the belly. Send some breath down into your belly. That's very calming on the nervous system. Feel free to turn your head all the way to the left, getting that rotation in your cervical spine. But remember, we want to feel this rotation from the low rib cage all the way up in our thoracic spine. Maybe a little gentle pull on the low back, but nothing where there's pain. And again, stay as long as you like. Slowly make your way back up. Bend the knee, take the strap, move it off to the side, extend your legs down long onto the mat. Bring your hands to your belly and to your rib cage or up to your chest. And a couple breaths here. Let the spine kind of neutralize. Allow the ground to support your body weight. And then bend the knees. Gently hug the knees into the chest again. And notice how you feel this time. Third time hugging those knees in. Do you feel more open, like you've created some space? Maybe it doesn't feel as tight as it did when you first got on your mat. And then we're going to rock up, come on up to a seat, and then come around to quadruped. So coming into hands and knees here, tuck the toes under. And we'll send the hips back just gently, just not too far. So you're starting to stretch the bottoms of the feet, starting to get into that more deep flexion in the knees and the hips. And then we'll start to come forward, untuck your toes. You might have to move your knees back a little bit and then start to let your pelvis drop towards the floor. You can have your hands a little wider, pelvis towards the floor. Turn your glutes on, lift your heart. And if that's too much, don't come down that far. If it feels okay in your low back, keep your glutes on, let your pelvis sink a little more. And then we'll push back, tuck your toes. Hips go back a little further this time. Like you're doing a child's pose, but with your toes tucked under, and your face is not going to be on the ground yet. Come back up, inhale. Untuck the toes, coming into this kind of up dog shape. Maybe let your pelvis drop even more. Turn your head to the right. And then turn your head through center to the left. And then back to center. And then lift your pelvis first. Use your abs, tuck your toes. Come all the way down, forearms to the floor, forehead down, child's pose with your toes tucked under. Hips towards your heels. And then we'll go one more time, come back up. And you can do this as many times as you want. Tops of the feet down, let the pelvis dip down. Elbows can bend. And then you can even bend your elbows a little more, bring your pubic bone onto the mat. So you're in this kind of high cobra, elbows bent, shoulders draw back and down, squeeze your shoulder blades together, And then you might come all the way down. And then push back. But use your glutes. Your glutes are going to protect your low back. You use them. Push yourself back up. Lift your pelvis. Come onto your knees. And then child's pose. Tuck the toes, forehead down. All right. So there's just a few things that you can do if you're feeling like you've got a really sore, tight back, or your hips are really sore and tight. There's so much more to do. So I'll do another short video that's more focused on the hips. This one was a little more focused on the low back. But yeah, hope you feel good and stay well.